I mean, we don't went to, now, I don't know how many of you are anthropology majors, but I don't know how many of you ever heard of Richard Leakey. Great anthropologist, he's a white guy, great anthropologist, who trekked to Africa. He's an eccentric. You know how the professors that are eccentric are. You know, their hair's growing all wild. He's got his pipe and his leather on his sleeves. And he's off in Africa digging around in the Maldive Gorge, and he comes up on this skeleton. They test the skeleton. It's the oldest living humanoid ever found in Tanzania, in the Great Rift Valley, in Africa. Oldest humanoid ever found. You know, there was a whole bunch of frauds, but before then there was Peking Man, there was Piltdown Man. They had all these phony finds. You know, they found this guy up in France. They tried to make him the origin of humanity. So this old guy, Richard Leakey, found this, and he wrote his thesis on this and said the origins of humanity was in Africa. They pillared this man out of his profession, drove him to his drink and death. His son took up the cause. Richard Leakey Jr. took up the cause. And it was because of his work and the work of individuals like him that you now know that the origins of humanity were in Africa. That the oldest living skeleton, Lucy, was the matriarch of all of us. So how the hell can Noah not have black folks on the show? If anything, if he didn't want to make race an issue, everybody in the movie should have been black. Then race wouldn't have been an issue. Because that's more accurate. We all know about the migration of humanity, at least we should now. Isn't this institutional higher learning? We all know now that the origins of humanity was in Africa. The Africans migrated through over centuries to across the Mediterranean when the Sahara was a savanna, and the Sahara dried up and white folks got trapped off on the other side, and they've been crazy ever since. We all know that. We all know that as we go along the rim of the Indian Ocean towards India, we all see that the DNA of Africans is strong, all the way into Polynesia, all the way into Melanesia, all the way into the Pacific. There's a reason why Melanesians got nappy hair and dark skin. There's a reason why Polynesians got dark skin and straight hair. There's a reason for this, and the reason is their origins is in Africa. If that's your origin and you're doing a movie on Noah, and you didn't want race to be an issue, it would seem to me that you would deal with the original human beings in that movie, which means everybody in the cast should have been black. Then his logic would have made sense. I don't want to talk about race. The original human beings were of dark skin hue, and they were black. So therefore, that's why I ain't had no white people in the movie. They did the reverse. And this is the reason why they did the reverse. Because Europeans believe, because of white supremacy, because of this ideology that I'm talking about, they believe that they are the criteria of truth, that they are the icon and the epitome of what we all should strive for and what we all should be. And that if you don't make them comfortable in their presence, then somehow or other, there's something wrong with you, not with them. This is the insidious nature of white skin privilege. Something that's very hard for even the most well-meaning person to really detect and realize that they have this benefit. And me as a human being, I don't really want to be perceived that way. I don't really want to have this benefit at the expense of other people. This is an individual, moral, and ethical position to take. So then the generalization of racism and white supremacy doesn't apply to this person. The same way you know that someone who supports the empowerment of women cannot be considered a serious, rabid sexist, who's willing to deal with the empowerment of women, who fights against misogyny, who fights against discrimination because of gender or sexual preference, that this person that does this is a different person. They're not normal, because the norm is the complete opposite. When black people are murdered in the streets, how many white folks come out and demonstrate in outrage? Huh? How many? Where are all the white politicians who are outraged about what happened at Columbine, what happened at these schools? Where are they when we are gunned down in the street? Not to be found. So therefore, as far as we're concerned, they're the norm. And those that are on the front lines with us, they are the exception. And that's why I say in the struggle for freedom and human rights, in the struggle for liberation, there are no strangers. There's only revolutionaries and progressives who have never met. The front line of human struggle, the front line of human rights makes us all comrades. Make us all each other's keeper. I was talking to my wife before I left at the airport, and I kind of like bugged out. And I was saying that I just read this guy on the internet who said our problem is black folks get too emotional and it clouds their thinking. Our problem is the complete opposite. We don't get emotional enough. That's right. When you see a child being murdered and his head cut off, when you see children made to fight wars and kill, you're not outraged. You're not angry. You're going to sit and watch a child starve in Latin America and then look over at your 3-year-old and not get emotional? Was there something wrong with you if you do that? Where's your humanity if you do that? You're not outraged? You don't want to get up and slap somebody? Do nothing? You just want to shake your head and say, oh man, them Africans are crazy. Really? That's your response? Our problem is that we have taken oppression, exploitation, and murder for granted. It's nothing new. So what do we say when we see another black kid being gunned down? Hey, same old, same old. Black people would stand around and watch 2 cops beat somebody to death and do absolutely nothing. Because they think that they're going to get arrested for interfering with a law enforcement officer. Forget that this man is about to lose his life. Maybe your interference in your little poop butt arrest might save his life. Yeah, you might, get all caught up in that. But I bet you one thing, if you had 100 people standing around watching a cop beat 2 people and they all bum rush them at the same time, I doubt very seriously those cops are going to be able to distinguish anything and try to get out of Dodge.